Hello and welcome to the Pride Reading Program webinar series. We are really excited you've joined us today for our topic, What is the Science of Reading? We understand the importance of this topic for both parents and teachers. The Pride Reading Program webinar series is designed to provide you with quick and detailed presentations on up-to-date literacy topics. So sit back and enjoy as we answer today's question, What is the science of reading? Learning to speak is a natural process for children, but learning to read is not. Reading needs to be taught. Children need to learn the different sounds in spoken language and be able to connect these sounds to written letters and make meaning out of print. The science of reading is a term that refers to research that has been conducted over the past 20 years by leading reading experts, cognitive scientists, and reading researchers on how we learn to read. The simple view of reading presented by Goff and Tunmer in 1986 is a formula that demonstrates that reading has two basic components. The first component is word recognition, also known as decoding. The second component is language comprehension. Students need both strong decoding and strong language comprehension skills to reach the ultimate goal of reading, which is reading comprehension. The simple view of reading is useful in that it helps teachers identify where a reader is struggling and might need more instruction. For example, if a text says, "The chickens live in a barn on the farm," a strong, proficient reader must be able to read each word accurately and also understand what each word means in the sentence. Once the teacher identifies which component the student is struggling with, they can adjust a reading lesson or offer extra assistance in this area of weakness. Dr. Hollis Scarborough invented the concept of the reading rope in the early 1990s. The reading rope contains two main sections. The first is word recognition. The second is language comprehension. Both of these are comprised of several smaller strands. Woven together, these strands become the rope that represents strong reading skills. All of these components are interconnected and interdependent, and if one of the strands is weak, then it affects the rope as a whole. The rope is a representation of the reader. Scarborough's reading rope is useful in that it helps teachers identify where a reader is struggling and might need more instruction. For example, a student might be very good at sounding out the words on the page, but lacks the vocabulary to make sense of what they are reading. Once the teacher identifies the weak strands, they can readjust a reading lesson or offer extra assistance in this area of weakness. Now that we understand what the science of reading is, it is time to discuss which reading skills need to be taught according to the science of reading. The National Reading Panel in the year 2000 identified instruction in the following 5 elements as the most important skills students need to become proficient readers. Number 1, phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is recognizing that words are composed of individual sounds that can be blended together for reading and pulled apart or segmented for spelling. Phonemic awareness is a crucial skill for all students learning to read, and there is a greater emphasis for phonemic awareness in kindergarten and first grade. Number 2 is phonics. Phonics is a method of teaching students how to connect the graphemes with the phonemes and how to use this letter-sound relationship to read and spell words. Phonics is a key component to reading because decoding is the foundation upon which all reading instruction is built upon. Number 3 is fluency. Reading fluency is reading text with sufficient speed and accuracy to support comprehension. The practice of developing fluency in children includes reading accuracy, reading rate, and reading expression. Instruction in reading fluency should include assisting students in developing their ability to use typical speech patterns and appropriate intonation while reading aloud. Number 4 is vocabulary. Vocabulary is the understanding of individual word meanings in a text. Teachers should develop students' vocabulary knowledge through direct and indirect methods of teaching, and students should be exposed to vocabulary both orally and through reading. Number 5 is comprehension. Comprehension is the understanding of connected text and is the ultimate goal of reading. How do you teach reading according to the science of reading? The answer is explicit instruction. Learning to read does not come naturally and requires a complex set of skills that must be taught to students explicitly. The term explicit instruction means that the teacher is the one who takes center stage. All concepts are directly and explicitly taught to students with continuous student-teacher interaction, guidance, and feedback. In explicit instruction, the teacher will first present a lesson with a demonstration. The teacher will then do the lesson together with the student. Finally, the teacher will ask the student to do it without guidance. A science of reading classroom will usually follow a structured literacy curriculum. In a structured literacy curriculum, students are taught phonics, decoding, and spelling skills explicitly in a systematic, sequential, and cumulative step-by-step process. Structured literacy instruction is carefully built around a scope and sequence. This scope and sequence dictates the order in which each concept or skill is taught. Each lesson builds upon itself, and the student never has to read or spell anything they haven't been introduced to yet, which is why the stories and text in structured literacy are always decodable. The students only read and spell what they have been explicitly taught. Each individual skill is taught in isolation, beginning with the most basic levels of phonics and developing into the most advanced spelling rules and morphological concepts. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found this webinar on what is the science of reading helpful. If you'd like to learn more about the science of reading, the Pride Reading Program, and other resources, please visit our website at pridereadingprogram.com. And don't forget to share and follow the Pride Reading Program on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to get notified when the next Pride Reading Program webinar is released.